there has been this really interesting explosion of a completely new genre of video games that people like to call boomer shooters. They're basically games that try to capture the original vibe of games like Doom 2 and Quake. These retro games that have this really cool aesthetic and gore and speed and fun. And what's interesting is that a lot of these games like Dusk and Cultic, they are fantastic. And now we have a new legendary entry in this genre with Warhammer 40K Boltgun. I really dig this game, but it does have a couple very glaring issues that I hope manage to be fixed. Let's discuss. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So this is definitely a boomer shooter. So I want to quickly say at the start of this video that the gameplay you're seeing has been captured on the PlayStation 5, and this is the actual art style of it. The pixelation, the crazy blown out color palette, that's on purpose. And if it takes you a moment to adjust, I promise it's actually really cool once you sort of adapt to the retro boomer shooter type of graphics. It's kind of cool to see flat character models and people exploding and crazy goofy goops of magic flying towards you. This is a game that really manages to do more than just play upon nostalgia. Boltgun feels modern even if it looks old school. But what's the point of this? What is our motivation? Inside the Warhammer universe, there's a lot of very bad people that are trying to blow each other up, and we're now playing as a guy who's going against the legions of chaos. They're essentially these different weird gods that turn you into monsters or demons or just drive you insane. You're trying to rid the universe from these evil dark gods. Now, we're playing as a Boltgun Space Marine. We're people that get this big old machine gun that shoots explosive rails, and we're trying to liquefy a bunch of cultists. Now, straight up, this game feels fantastic. Literally, the very start of the first level is instantly going to grab you. I kind of wish this game actually had a demo, because anybody who plays the first level is going to want to beat the entire game. This game is broken down into a bunch of separate tiny chapters. Most of the missions took me about 20 minutes to complete, and then towards the end of the game there's a couple like 30 and 40 minute major objectives. But a lot of times it's much like Doom. It's kill everybody, it's find some keys, and it's escape as alive as possible. Now, the major thing they've added to this that I feel like I haven't seen in any other boomer shooters is these purge mechanics. So while you're playing through levels, occasionally you get locked in a big old school style arena. You'll have places to jump, just random power-ups, health, armor, and of course a ton of bullets, and you have to kill everybody before the doors get unlocked. Now, the new Dooms and stuff do this, and it's a gimmick I've actually liked a lot. It's actually really cool to have to forcibly have these big, really sloppy, drag-out fights with a bunch of strong enemies and weak enemies all blended together. And trust me, the word blended is very, very applicable. So throughout Boltgun, we get 8 separate guns and also a special chainsaw. I want to quickly talk about that. So whenever you actually hold the trigger button, you can use the melee to very much slow down time. So there's like a defensive style of chainsaw. It dashes forward a bit, but if somebody is about to unleash a really big attack, you can slow down time, jump into their face, and make it a little bit less pretty. But when it comes to those 8 separate main weapon types, there's some pretty good variety to this, from plasma launchers to gravity guns to weird molten metal shotguns and machine guns. All of them feel incredibly good until the last couple chapters. I want to quickly voice my major concerns that I've encountered with this game more than anything else without spoiling anything. This game is actually pretty long. It took me about 14 hours to beat it in its entirety. Now, keep in mind, I'm not very good at boomer shooters, so part of this was just trial and error and dying quite a bit. But during the course of it, while I did have a lot of fun, The early missions feel a lot tighter. The first couple escapades, the opening, Act 1 and Act 2, really brisk you from location to location, monster battle to monster battle, but the game begins to drag towards the halfway point of the third act. The missions are very long, the enemies are incredibly bullet spongy, and it's just a little bit weird that suddenly you go from conquering these universal titans to suddenly just walking around big empty stages. There is a surprising amount of puzzle-solving stuff towards the end of the game. All of Act 3 has like big open areas with multiple pathways and elevators and stuff, and not really any environmental context clues. I would have a lot of times where I beat stuff, I killed stuff, and then I kind of just had to look around until eventually I'd stumble upon the separate path that I somehow missed, and by finishing it, I therefore get to progress back to the fun, crazy combat. Now, let's talk about the most interesting part of this to me, which is honestly the weapon upgrades. Everything in here feels fantastic. Putting the barrel of your shotgun directly against a cultist's face and turning it into confetti, it never stops being fun. But it's actually cool that in each of the different maps that we're exploring, there is a lot of little side pathways, secrets that will take you on top of stuff, through hidden walls, or sometimes just extra unlockable areas that'll give you all sorts of very crazy power-ups. 10 times damage for your melee for 30 seconds, quad damage so you can nuke pretty much everybody around you with your plasma gun, or the spirit of the machine. There is these very rare and very hard to find power-ups that fundamentally change the nature of a single gun. Like, for example, if you pick this up when your Boltgun is out, it turns it into a chain-firing machine gun, pretty much, that does the full damage of your Boltgun itself. If you pick it up with something like the shotgun, it makes it where now it becomes a slag launcher that fires a fiery ring that burns people. Pick it up and combine the spirit of the machine with your plasma launcher, and it makes it a fully automatic rocket launcher that, does a million freaking damage per second. I like the fact that the spirit of the machine, it really feels like a power-up that is worth hunting down. It's fun to actually explore, discover a secret, and get those big, beautiful bonuses. But this does bring me to something that I'm not sure if it's a glitch. I think it's actually intended, but in each of the separate acts of this game, it wipes your weapons. So there's 8 total guns, but I'd collect like 5 of them in the first 10 missions, and then suddenly I lost everything. So starting Act 2, you have to rebuild up your arsenal. But here it actually gets 10 times stranger than that. If you touch level select, there's a chapter select, so you can try missions again and again, get better scores, find more secrets, yada yada. Well, if you use chapter select, it wipes your weapons. So say you're on mission 25 and you by chance quit out of the game and go back in and use chapter select, you'll still be on chapter 25, but now you don't have any of your guns other than the basic unupgraded bolt launcher, which makes it where at times I'd be very near to the end of the game and I'd practically mess up my save file, and so I'd have to really struggle to rebuild up my loadout in order to keep fighting. Now, you get to have all 8 of your guns all the time. It just sucks when you lose them because there's ammunition for the different guns scattered around the stages. So if you start out a map and it's giving you a ton of rocket ammo, and you ain't got your freaking rocket launcher, then it starts to send big elite enemies that you can't fight off with that rocket launcher ammo. It does kind of suck. The other part of this that felt a bit weird is that it auto-saves. It creates checkpoints in sometimes some very inopportune spots. I did about 4 or 5 times encounter death loops where I'd be stuck in an area, I was at literally 1 health, and it creates a checkpoint with bullets already flying at me. So my only choice is to either replay the entire level, or I have to try and get very lucky with my dodges in order to not have this happen. Now, I don't think this game is bad. It just feels at times like it's a bit raw. It feels like they needed to do just a tiny bit more just testing, because it seems like the balancing is just a little bit off. Some of those end enemies, they take way too much damage. Some of those stages I think are a bit more vague. Maybe put a little bit more blood on the ground or something so I can kind of tell what the heck I'm supposed to do when I'm in a gigantic empty football stadium in space. The game though itself is very, very fun, and I'm glad I beat it. But when I finished it, I noticed it doesn't have a platinum trophy. I'm a very big trophy hunter. I like actually getting all the collectibles. So it's been a long time since I've actually seen a game that's this high budget, that's this polished, that doesn't have a platinum trophy. That just seems a bit weird, so I wanted to note it here. But for the most part, this is a game that I did not expect to be so dang fun. I mean, I already beat it once on normal difficulty, and I'm trying to play it now on the harder difficulty. I beat a couple missions on the hardest difficulty, but, it's one of those games. It's like the original Doom. You're supposed to play through it again and again, freaking dying a bajillion times until eventually you're the savior of the universe. Okay, well, we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Warhammer 40K Boltgun an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. I'm already working on the next giant review. Man, do I enjoy review season a lot. Okay, this game was good. Glad I conquered it. On to the next masterpiece. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.